Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that Supreme Brahman is infinite, and this conditioned Brahman is infinite. The infinite conditioned Brahman proceeds from the infinite Supreme Brahman. Then, through knowledge, realizing the infinitude of the infinite conditioned Brahman, it remains as the infinite unconditioned Brahman alone. Om, peace, peace, peace. We're studying the Ishopanishad, and in the third mantra, we were told about the terrible consequences of ignorance. It said, the third mantra said, Asurya namate loka andhena tamasa vritaha tagamste pretyabhigachanti yeke chatmahano janaha. The worlds of the demons are covered by blinding darkness. And they go to these worlds of darkness. Who are these who go to the worlds of darkness? The ignorant ones. And they are called suicides, the killers of the self. So those who do not know the secret of the self, those who do not know who we are, what we are, they go into these worlds of darkness, demonic worlds. What it means here is they continue in the cycle of birth and death. So according to the Upanishad, the demons are demons, human beings are also demons, even the gods are devatas are demons. Anybody trapped in ignorance in the cycle of birth and death is asura, a demon or a devil or whatever. We are sunk in ignorance, and the result of that is that we suffer. We suffer in this cycle of samsara. So what is this knowledge by getting which we are freed of these worlds of darkness, which we are freed of being a demon? We are freed into infinite life. What is that secret? It's the secret of the Atman. Who am I? The answer to that. We must inquire into who am I and get the answer. The teaching about the self. That is going to come in the fourth mantra. From the fourth mantra onwards, the teaching about the self will start. The essence of Vedanta. Who am I? That's going to start now. Fourth mantra. Anejadekam manaso javiyo nainadeva apnuvan purvamarshata tadhavato anyanatyeti tishthattasminnapo matarishvadadhati. This is fourth mantra, and the translation of the fourth mantra is, it is unmoving, one, and faster than the mind. The senses could not overtake it since it had run ahead. Remaining stationary, it outruns all other runners. It being there, Matarishwa allots or supports all activities. Now, a very deep mantra. Again, you can notice a kind of contradictory language, which we noticed in the Kena Upanishad. We'll see some similarities here. So what does it say? It says unmoving, it is faster than the mind, and the devas, basically meaning the sense organs, cannot catch up with it. It's so fast. It means the Atman, the self. It's talking about the self. What is the self? It's faster than the mind. It's so fast that the sense organs cannot catch up with it. Tad dhavat, of all those who are racing, it exceeds all others. It gets the gold medal in racing. Tishtat, being steady, staying there, it supports Matarishwa, because of which all activities in the universe go on. So this is the mantra. What does it mean? Clearly, there are indications of some kind of Olympic event, a race going on here. So it's faster than everything else. Imagine a race, for example, maybe there's a human being and a racehorse and a car, they are all racing. We would expect the racing car to win and the racehorse to be second and the human being to be third. Like that. So there is a race going on between the Atman, the self, and the mind and the senses. And the Upanishad says it's going to beat the mind because the Atman is faster than the mind. And the mind is faster than the senses. So the Atman is going to take first prize, and the mind is going to take second prize, and the senses are going to take the third prize in this sprint. Not only that, none of the runners can ever catch up to the Atman. It is so fast. And yet it stays where it is. So now this is rather stunning. Look at the contradictory nature. In this race, they're all fast. Who are the runners? They're all expert runners. The sense organs, the mind, these are the competitors, and the Atman, our hero. And the Atman beats them all hollow. It's faster than the mind. The mind is supposed to be the fastest in the world. In a blink of an eye, it can go to heaven and earth and hell. It can go across the universe. Go means, of course, figuratively, it can think about. Sankalpa, Shankaracharya will say, it can think about heaven. It can think, right now sitting in New York, I can think about Los Angeles, or I can think about New Delhi. In a split second, the mind can go there. But the Atman is so fast, it's already there. By the time the mind reaches, wherever the mind reaches, the Atman is already there. And what to speak of the sense organs? The mind can reach something much faster. The sense organs at least have to depend on a process. The eyes see, they require light to come in. The nose requires particles to come into the contact with the nose. Ear depends on sound waves and so on. Whereas the mind can just do sankalpa, can think about it and then reach its target, or reach its destination. Whereas this Atman is supposed to be faster than all. It moves so fast. So this is a very interesting thing which has been said to us. And the next moment, the Upanishad says, the Atman doesn't move at all. Anejat, doesn't move. Doesn't go anywhere. Not going anywhere, not moving at all, not changing at all. It moves faster than the mind, which moves faster than the sense organs. Not changing at all, no one can catch it. It doesn't go anywhere, and yet you can't catch it. None of the ones which are trying to catch. The eyes are trying to catch form, the ears are trying to catch sound, and the taste and odor and touch. None of them can catch the Atman. The mind, which can conceive of anything, it can think of anything, it can understand anything, it can fantasize, remember, create anything. It cannot think of, conceive of, fantasize about, visualize, conceive of or understand the Atman at all. So, yet the Atman goes nowhere. Without going anywhere, it's impossible to catch. And without moving at all, it's faster than all those who are racing. So they're very contradictory. What does it mean? So that's what we're going to see here. All right, let's now dive into this. What's going on here? The teaching about the self is being given. Who am I? That question is going to be answered. The background is that self-knowledge is essential. If we do not have self-knowledge, then we are sunk in darkness and we are condemned to this whirling existence of life and death, the cycles of birth and death. We go to these worlds of blinding darkness. Now, therefore, we require self-knowledge. In Vedanta, we are asked to ponder upon the nature of the self. The Vedanta says there is a clear distinction. We start here. There is a clear distinction between the self and the not self. In Sanskrit, Atma, Anatma, Viveka, the discernment between the self and the not self. And we have seen this many times earlier. We immediately note that whatever we experience in the world is the not self. And the not self, notice, everything changes in the world. Everything changes. The material world outside is changing. Our own bodies are changing. They're aging. They're born and they age and they become mature and then they become old and then they finally die. The sixfold changes. Born and having been born comes into existence, then goes through childhood and teenage, and then becomes mature, then begins to deteriorate, and finally dies. The sixfold changes. not only the body, the mind also changes, and the mind changes much faster. Continuous stream of thoughts, perceptions, of judgments, of memories, of desires, of enjoyment and suffering, of a continuous cycle of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. This is how our days rotate. Days and months and years and decades of our life pass. The mind goes through all these. All these are rapid changes of the mind. In contrast to the changing world, changing body, changing mind, we notice we are there all the time. Therefore, I, the self, am not changing. This is the first distinction between the self and the not self. First thing that we are taught is notice that the self is always there in and through all the changes of the material world, the material body, and the material mind. That brings me to the next insight. Not only that the world is changing, not only does the body change, the body is born and it dies. Things are produced and they're destroyed. Not only changing, they arise and then they go away completely. So the body is born and the body will die. And in between it changes, no doubt, but it will die. The self is, there's no experience of the self being born and the self dying. So then another distinction. So two distinctions we have already seen, changing and unchanging, and an extension of that, birth and death, production and destruction. The self is unchanging, everything else is changing. The self is neither born nor does it die, in distinction to everything in the world which is born and which dies. When I said material, I use the word material. That's another distinction. Everything in the universe is made of material, is matter, energy. So matter and energy is a play of matter and energy. So also our own bodies, they're made of matter. And in fact, in Vedanta, not just Vedanta, in Sankhya and in all Indian thought actually, interestingly, even the mind is matter. So whatever we experience is made of matter. In the ancient Indian cosmology, the 5 elements, from space comes, movement or vibration, air. From air comes radiation, or you can call it heat or fire. From that comes water, and from the water comes the solid matter, which is earth. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi. So all these are matter, and all the worlds and our bodies are made of matter. And Indian cosmology says our minds are also made of matter. So matter has this gross side, and there is matter has a subtle side, but they're all matter. Even mind is material. In distinction to body, mind, world, body, mind, world, body, mind, in distinction to these three, the Atman, the self, you or I, we are not made of matter. This is another claim of Vedanta. We are consciousness, we are awareness. The old word was spirit. We are spirit, and the world is material. We are immaterial, we are spirit. A more modern word would be we are consciousness, or we are being, we are awareness, we are light. This brings me to the next distinction. We are conscious, and the world, body, and mind are what we are conscious of. In Sanskrit, Chetana Jada. So we, the self, is conscious, is aware. In fact, we will come to the conclusion that the self is consciousness itself. And this material world, world of change, the world of birth and death, creation and destruction, this world is also a world which is not conscious, not aware. Chetana and Jada. And this immediately is a challenge to the hard problem of consciousness. And this is the response. The hard problem consciousness asks, how can a material object like the brain produce a subjective side, consciousness, inner awareness, first person experience? And Vedanta says it cannot, because it does not. The first person experience is not material. It is actually that which is the experiencer of everything. Everything that is experienced is material. That which experiences is consciousness. So the pure subject I am consciousness, and this material universe, the body, even the mind, they are non-conscious. Yes, one little footnote has to be added here. Being non-conscious, but some of this material universe has the capacity to borrow consciousness from the Atman. So the mind has the capacity to borrow consciousness as if conscious from the Atman. And mind reflecting consciousness, channelizing or limiting consciousness, illumines the senses. And through the senses, the body is illumined. So the body feels conscious. Our senses feel conscious. Our mind feels conscious. And this consciousness is actually borrowed, much like the moon borrows light from the sun. So it's like a borrowed light. Any more distinctions? So these are some of the distinctions to be going on with. The world of the world which we experience, our bodies, our minds, they're all changing. We are unchanging self. The world, things in the world and our bodies are born and they die. Notice I'm not including the mind in that. So they are born and they die, and the minds, of course, experience birth and death, but they are not themselves created or destroyed in every birth. But the self is not born, or nor does it die. It's not produced or destroyed. This is another distinction. The self is conscious, and the world is, and the body, they are all non-conscious. And then the world, the body, and mind are all material and made of panchabhuta, the five elements, whereas the self is not material. Another distinction we can make is the one which I always use is drashta and drishya. The experiencer and the experience, the seer and the seen. The world, the body, the mind, they're all seen. And the self is the seer, drashta. The ultimate seer, the ultimate illuminer, let us say, is drashta, is the seer or sakshi, the witness. Same, the self itself. So the self is the witness consciousness, is the drashta, the ultimate seer, and everything else, the material world, the physical body, the mind, they're all seen. Of course, they're all seen in different ways. The physical world around us is experienced through the senses. We see, we hear, we smell, taste, touch. The more subtle things and further away things, we have to use instruments. We've developed many kinds of instruments to see things which are very far off. We see things which are very subtle, very fine, or extremely tiny. We cannot even use the words see anymore. We have to say detect with our instruments. But they are all drishya. Whether you see it with the eyes or you detect it with particle accelerator, CERN, it is all drishya. The one which experiences is drashta. You are that. So these are all distinctions which are made in Vedanta. With this background, we plunge into the teaching of the fourth mantra of the Upanishad. The first thing it teaches us is paradoxical language. Instead of saying directly, it uses paradoxical language, very much like the Kena Upanishad, which we did earlier. What is the paradoxical language here? It is, it moves, it is the fastest, the self, the Atman, consciousness is the fastest of all, without moving at all. It cannot be caught by any, but it does not go anywhere. Just sitting here, it can't be caught. What is it? What is the Upanishad trying to tell us? Four things here in this mantra, basically. The first thing that the Upanishad tells us about ourselves is that we are not limited to the body. Because we feel, one thing we feel about ourselves, I may or may not be the body, but certainly I'm embodied. I'm here somehow. And the Upanishad contradicts that flat out. The Upanishad says you are all pervasive. How? By using this contradictory language. That the mind is extraordinarily fast. Senses are also fast, if not as fast as the mind. But no one can win in a race against the Atman. For wherever they go, the Atman is already there. Now, what does it mean? How can you explain that? And that too without moving. Wherever they go, the Atman is already there without moving anywhere, without going anywhere. How is that possible? Now imagine there is a race, you know, and imagine the race which I told you about, the race between the, let us say, forget the car, let's say the racehorse and the human being. So the race is going on. Now, imagine this race is taking place on a movie screen. So wherever the human being reaches, wherever the horse reaches, the horse is faster than the human being. So horse reaches first. But is the screen there? Of course. If in the movie, wherever the horse can go in the movie, the screen will be there, because without the screen, the movie cannot exist. So whatever position the horse reaches and the human being reaches, the screen is always there. In any race between the movie screen and a horse and a human being, who will win? The movie screen. Because the movie screen is there wherever the racing horse or the human being will reach. Do you get the idea that you're showing something so I'm moving my hand, for example. Wherever I move my hand, it will be in your screen. And so wherever my hand reaches, the screen is already there. Your device, your display is already there. Similarly, the Atman, the movie screen, without going anywhere, is winning, always winning in the race. Similarly, the Atman, being existence and awareness, is always winning in the race, because whatever the mind thinks about, the consciousness is always already there, and it will reflect in the mind. Shankaracharya will explain later, we'll see. It will reflect in the mind as the reflected consciousness and give mind that experience. So whatever, basically what he's saying here is, whatever the mind thinks about, it is able to think about that, because reflected consciousness illumines the vritti in the mind about that object. If I think about X, then there's a vritti about X in my mind. We say colloquially the mind has gone to X. Shankaracharya will give the example of Brahmaloka. So the world of Brahman. The mind has gone to that, means the mind is thinking about it. So the mind thinks about something. Now consciousness is always there, is always reflected in the mind. And then we get the experience, yes, I am thinking about X, or I am thinking about Brahmaloka. But reflected consciousness is there in the mind, means the actual consciousness must already be there. Otherwise, how will it be reflected in the mind? So consciousness is already there by the time the mind thinks about it. There can be nothing that the mind will think about which will not be illumined first by consciousness. Another way of looking at it is this. So this is consciousness and reflected consciousness. But Brahman or Atman is also existence. So whatever the mind thinks about, that exists because of Brahman. Brahman is already there. That's why it exists. So whatever the mind thinks about, wherever, quote unquote, the mind goes, Brahman is already there as existence. If Brahman were not there, it wouldn't exist. In fact, the mind's own existence is Brahman. The mind can go from point A to point B because Brahman supports it. Just like imagine the movie screen. On the movie screen, the fast racehorse can go from point A to point B, beginning of the race to end of the race. Because the movie screen is there at the beginning, movie screen is there at the end. In fact, beginning and end are both on the movie screen, and the movie screen does not move. In fact, if the movie screen moved during the movie, it would be a bad movie screen. So the movie screen is completely stationary. With being stationary, it's faster than the fastest race car or racehorse in the movie. Similarly, Atman, as existence, gives existence to whatever the object the mind thinks about, gives existence to the mind itself. And as consciousness, lends consciousness to the mind so that the mind can have a conscious experience of the object which it is thinking about. All this to say that the Upanishad is telling us the Atman, the self, is not limited in this body. In fact, it is as wide and as high and low and broad as this universe. Whatever appears, whatever is experienced in the Atman. Whatever exists is given existence by the Atman. So by the metaphor of this very interesting race, we have been shown the all-pervasiveness of the Atman. In a more philosophical sense, this all-pervasiveness means the Atman is not limited in time, not limited in space. It is there everywhere. It is there all the time, not limited by object also. It is there in every object. And then the next thing the Upanishad tells us is that the mind and the senses cannot catch those who are running. Who are running? The mind is running. Who are in the race? The expert sprinters are mind and sense organs. Here, Devaha, the gods, the sense organs are called Devaha, the bright ones. The eyes are bright ones, ears are bright ones because they illumine, they reveal. The eyes reveal form, ears reveal sound, the tongue reveals taste, Nose reveals order, and so on and so forth. So they are the bright ones, and the bright ones and the mind, none of them can catch the Atman. Atman, which is not moving, the self which does not move, can't be caught. What does that mean? So the second great thing that the Upanishad is telling us is that the Atman is not an object. It is not something that can be objectified by the eyes. The eyes can see form. Atman does not have form, therefore it cannot be objectified by the eyes. The ears can hear sound, but Atman does not have sound, therefore the ears cannot hear the Atman. Similarly, taste and touch and smell, none of the sense organs, and by extension, the instruments which extend the powers of our sense organs, like binoculars or telescopes or microscopes, none of them can objectify the Atman. It is not an object of knowledge. It goes further. It is not an object of thought, not sensory knowledge alone. Mind also cannot catch it. So the mind cannot conceive of the Atman, of pure consciousness or pure being. The mind cannot imagine it. The mind cannot remember it. The mind cannot understand it. So the Atman cannot be objectified by the mind. This is being said by the metaphor of they cannot catch it. The mind cannot catch it. No matter how fast they move, how far they go, the mind and the sense organs cannot catch pure consciousness because it's not an object. It's not an object of knowledge. Then one more thing that the Upanishad is teaching us is the oneness of the Atman. We sort of intuitively feel the self. You're talking about the self. Well, there are many of us. I am a self, you are a self, he or she is a self. So there must be many, many, many selves. That's what we think about. Psychological selves, persons. There are millions and billions of persons and selves. The Upanishad says, no, it's one. It is one underlying reality of the entire universe. All beings have the same self. Upanishad said, ekaha, one. So if you look at the words used in the Upanishad, anejad, manaso javiya, without moving, it is faster than the mind. The fastest thing in the universe, without moving, the Upanishad is faster. Not the Upanishad, the Atman is faster than the mind. You, the self, you're faster than the mind. And naina deva apnuvan purvam arshat. And the sense organs. Notice the sense organs, eyes, ears, they're called deva. And in devas, that means the bright beings. Does this not remind us of the Kena Upanishad? In the Kena Upanishad, the devatas, Indra and Agni and Vayu, they were called, they are the sense organs actually. They stand for the sense organs. So sense organs cannot objectify. We know the whole story was there in the Kena Upanishad for just this teaching, that the Yaksha appeared before the Devas. And Devas could not, the Indra and fire and wind, they could not ascertain, they could not grasp, they could not objectify that Yaksha. They all failed to know what that Yaksha is. That was the story. And this is being said here in one phrase, that the Devas cannot grasp, cannot catch hold, cannot exceed, cannot outrun, because wherever they go, consciousness is already there. Existence is already there. In fact, if existence was not already there, the sense organs and the mind could not go there. And tad dhavato anyanatyeti. So, of those who are running, the devatas and the mind, they are running, they're moving. They are all exceeded by. They are all outstripped by. They cannot catch the Atman. Tishtat tasmin. So now that existing, so we'll come to this last one later. Tishtat tasmin apo matarishva dadhati. That's complicated. Now, so we have got these three results so far. The self, which counterintuitive, it seems to be embodied in this body. No, it is all pervasive. Whatever you can think of, whatever you can sense, the self is already there. In fact, what it is saying is something very profound. Whatever we see is Brahman. Whatever we hear, smell, taste, touch, it's all Brahman. Sarvam kalvidam Brahma, because Brahman is already there. Whatever we can think of, it's all Brahman. Because Brahman is already there. It has already reached that. And the second result which we get is that Brahman or the Atman is not an object of knowledge. The senses, five senses cannot objectify, and the mind cannot think of it. It exceeds the mind, it exceeds the senses, it's beyond that. The third result which we have got is ekam. At the very beginning it said anejat ekam. Now sort of again counterintuitively, we feel that we are many, and the Upanishad is telling us this Atman or this self is just one. It's that ekam. Now we come to the final part of the mantra, which is quite interesting, very profound here. It uses rather strange words. It being there, tishtat, that being there. Matarishva allots all activities. And even the activity, the strange word is used. All waters. Apaha. All waters. What does this mean? First of all, we'll see what the word Matarishva means. Remember, this word was there in the Kena Upanishad when the god of wind was asked by the Yaksha, who are you? And says, Vayurva hamasmiti, Matarishva va hamasmi. I am Vayu, the god of wind. I am also known as Matarishva, that which travels in space. So the wind is that which travels in space. That's what's called. That's why it's called Matarishva. Now, this wind, Vayu, it stands for prana. Why? Because breathing, we breathe the air. So that stands, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It stands for all the physiological processes going on in the body. Breathing, it stands for all the physiological, not only respiration. Breathing is just the outward manifestation of respiration. A lot is going on in the lungs and in the bloodstream, the oxygenation of the blood and so on. So respiration, but also all other physiological processes, all life processes, our digestion, our hormonal processes, everything, the neuronal processes, all things which keep this body alive. So all prana is indicated by Vayu. But the prana itself is a part of a much larger system. It's a system, but there's another host of systems around it. So the prana is part of it. Then higher than that is mind and intellect. In the language of the Taittiriya Upanishad, the pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, all three together. All of this together on a cosmic scale, the name for this is Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind or the cosmic subtle body. In us, there is a subtle body. We have a physical body, and in this physical body, there is a subtle body. What does the subtle body consist of? The physiological functions, prana, mental activities, mana, the intellect or understanding, ego and intellect, the vijnana. All these three together are called the Sukshma Sharira. Beyond that or deeper than that, there is a causal body also, Anandamaya, but we're not going there. These three are not only in each individual being, but there is a cosmic prana, a cosmic mind and intellect. So that cosmic mind and intellect and prana all together in all beings, that is called Hiranyagarbha. At the cosmic level, it also includes all powers, all the so-called the small g gods, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and all of that. All of those divinities are all included in Hiranyagarbha. In the Upanishad, you find Hiranyagarbha is very important. So here, Hiranyagarbha is this underlying consciousness because of which the entire universe of matter, energy, time, space, and also mind, intellect, life, all of these are expressions of that Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha controls all of that. And through this subtle body and physical body also, we do all kinds of actions. So Hiranyagarbha controls all actions at our individual level of small living beings, at the cosmic level of the universe, from the stars and planets to little bacteria and microbes. Whatever is going on in the universe is made possible and supported by Hiranyagarbha, which you can imagine is like probably the most powerful, omniscient, omnipotent entity in the universe. So that's the underlying one underlying support of all the active universe. This is what is meant. Now, one thing, I was just I was just watching a pre-release of a documentary which is coming out on quantum mechanics, Vedanta, consciousness. Paul Howard has directed it. So there, I was seeing how he mentions that Schrödinger, the quantum mechanics, one of the pioneers, he was very well read in Vedanta. He loved Vedanta. And in fact, he would often quote, Atman is Brahman. The individual self, the ultimate reality, they're one reality. The reality of the universe and the reality of the individual, they're actually one reality. You, the Atman, and the Brahman, the reality of this universe, they are one. And Schrödinger sometimes would jokingly himself call it the second Schrödinger equation. So, Atman is Brahman. This is what is being said here. Tat tishtat matarshva apo dadhati. The reality of the Hiranyagarbha and the reality of you, they are one and the same reality. There is one underlying, David Bohm used to call it the implicate order, something like that. That this insight that, see, in modern science, we can explain or we are trying to explain the universe at the cosmic level, macro level, and at the super micro level, down to the quantum level. But the problem is with mind, life and mind also, life to some extent, but mind is impossible to grasp through this kind of analysis, through modern physics. So what I was seeing in the documentary is that in cutting edge physicists today are thinking of expanding the understanding of physics through quantum mechanics so that you can get one continuous underlying reality which results in material universe, time, space, matter, energy, but also mind and consciousness. And they mean mind only, of course, life and mind. I was thinking this sounds a lot like our Matarishwa, the underlying reality which manifests as life, mind, matter, energy, time, space. There is one underlying reality. That's what Vedanta would say. That is what Hiranyagarbha is. So would you say that is Brahman, the ultimate reality? No. The reason being, even that implicate order, even that underlying reality has properties, has capacities, whereas the Nirguna Brahman does not have any objective properties at all. Anyway, that's taking us afield now, but it's an interesting area to think about. That what these ancient rishis thousands of years ago got in principle, of course, that's not modern science, but modern scientists are now beginning to intuit it, and they are beginning to see the wisdom in those principles. That now it has to be worked out through mathematics and development of what is that? The um, the theory of everything and so on. But what is being said here is basically the Mahavakya. The reality of you and the reality of Matarishwa is one and the same reality. It is because this underlying reality is there that Matarishwa is able to control and dictate and manifest itself as the subjective universe and the objective universe. As on one hand, matter, energy, time, space, with all the stars, planets, and galaxies and so forth. On the other hand, life and mind. So, especially the world of the mind, both subject and object. They are all manifested and their activities are all supported by Matarishwa. Because at the heart of Matarishwa lies this existence consciousness, this Atman, which is you. So this is actually what in that last part, what was said in the mantra, is another way of saying Tattvamasi. Tishtat tasmin apo matarishva dadhati. In that, in what? In your innermost reality, which is your innermost reality. Because of that, Hiranyagarbha is also able to manifest and control the entire universe. So the universal and the individual are both grounded in that one Atman, which you are. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. So this is you can even call it a kind of Mahavakya, the identity of the Jiva and Brahman. Now let us look at the commentary of Adi Shankaracharya. We have sort of got the basic ideas. What are the four results from this mantra? What did the mantra teach us? First, we did a basic difference between self and not self, Atman, Atma, Viveka. So then the Upanishad tells us, you are all pervasive. You are not an object of mind and senses. And you are one. Although you are appearing in billions of entities, you are one. That means even when you are appearing as one individual, you must know that they are all nothing but me. I am one with, I must be at ease in the universe. It's just me. Who is there? What is there other than me? And the last one, the fourth result was, so Ekaha, that is the third one. And the fourth result was the Mahavakya. The cosmic self, the Hiranyagarbha, and the individual self, you or I, both are grounded in the real self, which is Satchidananda, which is our real nature. Now let us look at Shankaracharya's commentary. Matarishwan, yes, Matarishwa. Shankaracharya asks, Yasya Atmano Hananad Avidvansa Samsaranti Tad Viparjayena Vidvanso Janaha Muchyante Te Natmanaha Tat Kidrisham Atmatattvam Iti Uchyate. So in the earlier mantra it was said, by the ignorance of the self, the ignorant ones, they go into the worlds of demons and into the world, they go through samsara, birth and death. And those who are enlightened, they are not suicides, atmahana, they are not committing suicide. Those who are ignorant, it's equivalent to committing suicide. So what kind of self is this? What is this self-knowledge? We all are eager to know. Yes, I don't want to be a devil or a demon, asura. I don't want to go through life and the cycle of birth and death again and again and again. I don't want to go into the world of blinding darkness. So what is this knowledge? And Shankaracharya says, Upanishad is telling us. Then comes the mantra. Anejatekam manaso javiya nainam deva apnuvan purvam arshat tadhavato anyan atyeti tishtat tasmin apo matarishva dadhati. It does not move. It is one, but it is faster than the mind. And even the senses, when they race, they find it has already reached the end of the race. And the self exceeds or outruns all other runners without moving at all. None of them can catch it. And it being there, pure consciousness being there, existence being there, the Sat or Atman or Brahman being there, Matarishva, who we know is Hiranyagarbha, is controlling and distributing all the actions and the results of actions, and so on. So this is the mantra. Now Shankaracharya explains. So anejat, it does not move. What does it mean? Avastha apratyutam, apratyuta. Avastha apratyuti tadvarjitam, avastha pratyuti tadvarjitam. Sarvada ekarupam ityartha. Movement is change. So Shankaracharya gives a deeper one. So not just physically running around, change. Changing one's own nature. So everything is changing. There is only one thing, which is existence or pure awareness, which is not changing. So avastha pratyuti, that means change, losing one's nature or one's moving from one condition to another. The one which does not have this change, that is called anejat, not moving, not vibrating, not changing. Sarvada eka rupam, always of the same nature. What is that? Pure consciousness or Atman. Tatcha ekam sarvabhuteshu. There is only one self. This is the Bhagavad Gita. Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. Know me to be the one knower of the field in all fields. See how deeply connected. And these texts are thousands of years apart. The Gita comes much later. These Upanishads are much earlier. And yet the same theme is continuing. Now, Shankaracharya raises a question. Katham viruddham uchyate? Why this contradictory talk? Dhruvam nishchalam idam manaso javiyati cha. It is unshakable, unchangeable, always fixed. And yet you are saying it's faster than the mind, it outruns the mind. It's contradictory. How can something be unchangeable and changeable? How can something be not moving and yet faster than the fastest thing? How? Shankaracharya says, Naisha doshaha, there is no contradiction, no fault here. How would you explain this? Nirupadhi upadhi matvena upapattehe. So just a short sentence, but it's pretty deep. All the difference is made by upadhi, with upadhi and without upadhi. Upadhi, this idea I've explained earlier, but once again, let me just mention here. The upadhi is any entity which comes close to another entity and appears to transfer its qualities without actually transferring its qualities. Let me use the example, something similar to which is used in Vedanta. So here I have this transparent glass, this transparent glass cube. Now, when I hold it against the orange, the ochre robe, the orange cloth, you can see it looks orange, right? It looks orange from your side because the orange cloth is behind it. And when I hold the purple cloth behind it, then it immediately looks purple. It looks orange, it looks purple, and without any cloth, it looks transparent. It is transparent actually. Now this purple cloth or blue cloth, let's say, this is a blue cloth. This blue cloth and this orange cloth, these are called upadhis. What's an upadhi? This transparent, colorless glass cube, which has no color of its own. When I bring an orange cloth into close proximity with it, the orange cloth appears to transfer its orange color to the glass. When I bring the blue cloth to close proximity with the glass, the blue cloth appears to transfer blue color to the glass. What do I mean blue appears to transfer? Even when the glass looks blue, it is not blue actually, we know that. Even when the glass looks orange, it's not actually orange, we know that. This is upadhi. It gives an appearance of transferring its blue color to the colorless glass, orange color to the colorless glass, and therefore it seems contradictory. How can you say it is orange and blue? How can you say it is colorless and with color? Shankaracharya says, with upadhi and without upadhi. With upadhi, it appears to be colored. Without upadhi, it's actually colorless. Even with upadhi, that's the important thing to understand is, even with upadhi, it is not actually colored. It just looks colored. Now, how do you explain your faster than the mind? By itself, pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, doesn't go anywhere. It's not taking part in any race. So it is just being. It is just pure awareness, pure being. But when the mind appears through Maya, the mind is the upadhi. The mind thinks of many things and it is illumined by consciousness. And therefore, I, consciousness, the self, will say, I am thinking of this place or that place, this person or that person. My mind is going there. So, but the mind is always illumined by consciousness. It's as if consciousness is also going there because of the movement of the mind. When the body is walking, talking, lifting, what do I say? I, the consciousness, I am walking and talking and lifting. Remember, walking, talking, lifting are all being done by the body. Thinking is being done, emotions are being felt by the mind. Because they are upadhis, they appear to transfer their walking, talking, lifting, or thinking, feeling, enjoying, suffering to consciousness, to me. So this is with upadhi and without upadhi. Without upadhi, you're just awareness, pure being. With upadhi also, you're just awareness, pure being. But it looks like you have some physical activity going on, some mental activity going on. It looks like you are moving. It looks like you are changing. We feel as if we are changing. Shankaracharya uses another example in the Gita shloka, where Sri Krishna uses this contradictory language that he explains, he says there, those who see action in inaction and inaction in action, they are the ones who see, truly see, and they are the doers of all action. So the action in inaction and inaction in action, Shankaracharya explains, when you're going in a boat on the river, the trees and the temples and all on the river bank, they seem to be moving and you seem to be stationary. Actually, it is the movement of the boat which is being transferred to the temples and the trees on the bank. They appear to be moving. They are not moving actually. The movement is in the boat. Similarly, the movement of the body-mind appears to be transferred to you, the pure consciousness. You appear to be doing things, thinking about things, enjoying or suffering, but they are all due to the presence of the upadhi, of body and mind, just like orange cloth and blue cloth. So upadhi, nirupadhi, so upadhi, with upadhi and without upadhi. Now one might ask, where did these upadhis come from? Isn't it non-duality? Well, yes, but the upadhis need not be real separate things. They could be appearances themselves. So just the appearance is caused by Maya. Maya itself is not a second reality apart from Brahman. So ontologically, non-duality is protected, even though in experience you have tremendous variety. All right. Tatra nirupadhikena swena rupena uchyate anejadekam iti. So without upadhi, just like the colorless glass by itself, you are saying the Upanishad is saying that the Atman anejat, it does not move, does not change. Ekam, one only. Manaso antakaranasya sankalpa vikalpa lakshanasya upadhehe anuvartanat. So, but with the thinking of the mind, the movements of the mind, and also by extension the sense organs, with that, anuvartana means following that, as if taking that up. The pure consciousness also seems to be, I'm thinking, I'm seeing, I'm enjoying, I'm suffering. So that's because of the upadhi. The appearance of the body, appearance of the mind and the senses, they appear to transfer their activities upon you, the pure consciousness. But remember, crucial, that just as the glass remained colorless even when it looks orange or looks blue, similarly, even when we think we are doing things, we are enjoying things, in philosophical language, pramata, bhokta, karta, karta, bhokta, pramata. In association with sense organs and motor organs and body, in association with body mind, I, the pure consciousness, I become a knower. How? With mind and sense organs. I see, I hear, I smell, I think, I understand. I am the knower, pramata. In association with my motor organs and the mind, I become a doer. I'm walking, talking, working, enjoying, doing good and bad things, dharma and adharma. I am the karta. And in association with the sense organs and body again and mind, I enjoy the results or suffer the results of my action, pain and pleasure. I become bhokta. So, pure consciousness by itself, minus the upadhis, is neither karta, nor bhokta, nor pramata. Not a knower, not an enjoyer, not a doer. Enjoyer means enjoyer or sufferer, doer. With the upadhis, it can appear as and function, fully function as, like right now which we are doing, knower, doer, and experiencer, that is enjoyer or sufferer of the results of karma. So this is the the core from which all these philosophies have been developed. These philosophical insights have come. We are running out of time. Let me do a little more and then. So I'll skip the rest of Adi Shankaracharya's commentary, although there's a lot here. But more or less, I have explained whatever I had to explain. All of these are already there. It's a very good commentary, actually. I'll just touch upon the next mantra, which is basically a reaffirmation and continuation of the same thought. And the next mantra states, mantra number 5. It states, Tadejati tannejati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyatah. Again, full of contradictory, paradoxical language. That moves, that does not move. That is far off, that is very near. That is inside all of this, and that is outside everything. Remember, he's talking about you. He's saying, you move, you do not move. You are very far off. You are nearer than the nearest. You are in and through everything in the universe. But you're entirely beyond this universe. So you see, Very contradictory language. And yet, more we understand what is pure being or awareness, what we are, the more this will make perfect sense. And you will enjoy this. It's your description. It's talking about you. Shankaracharya says here, in his commentary, he makes a nice statement about the Upanishad, because this is basically in this mantra, whatever was said in the fourth mantra is now being repeated in the fifth mantra. Shankaracharya says, na mantranam jamita asti. The mantras, the Upanishads, never become tired. Like a loving teacher, like a loving mother, they keep explaining it to us again and again. The same teaching is told to us again, that um, it moves and it does not move. How? With the upadhis, it seems to move. Without the upadhis, there is no change or movement in it. It is close, it is far. How is it close? How is it far? It is close to the enlightened ones because they realize, I am Brahman. I am that. It is closer than the closest. My body is close to me, the mind is close to me, but I myself, the Atman, I am that. So it is the closest of the close to me. But for those who do not know, the ignorant ones, it is very, very far. They'll think it will take me lifetimes to realize that. They'll think that, yes, it's very far. I have to slowly merge into it. I'm a little bit merged, I'll merge more and more into it. There's no merging, it's you. So, tad dure, it's very far for the unenlightened, very, very close for the enlightened. Tad antarasya sarvasya. It is it is in and through everything. As the first approach would be as the upadana karana, as the very being, existence of this entire universe. As clay is in and through all pottery, water is in and through all waves, and gold is in and through all ornaments. Similarly, pure being or pure consciousness is in and through all existing entities. You are in and through all existing entities. And because, he says, it is beyond everything. How beyond everything? Because actually, all these existing entities do not have any existence at all. All existence comes from Brahman or Atman. So, just as the rope appearing to be the snake, you can say the rope is actually beyond the snake because there is no snake at all. The desert appearing to be the oasis or the mirage, the desert is beyond all oasis because there is no oasis there at all. Similarly, Atman or Brahman is beyond the universe because there is no universe at all. The existence, it's an appearance. So just like the screen of the movie, it is in and through all the pictures, all the characters, all the events in the movie. Underlying it is what? The screen. And yet it is beyond the movie because nothing in the movie touches it. It transcends the movie. It's not part of the movie. The movie is also not part of the screen. One must realize that. The universe is not part of you. First of all, our mistake is we think we are part of a vast universe. Vedanta reverses that. You are the reality of this universe. And then it goes further. The universe is actually, it's not that the universe is in you. First, we think we are in the universe. It's a huge universe. I'm in one tiny corner of it. Vedanta reverses that. No, you are vast. The universe is in you. That's step one. You are in and through everything in the universe. Step two is, no, even the universe is not in you. You alone are. The Atman alone exists. That itself appears as this universe. In the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, Sri Krishna said, in the royal secret, see, the whole universe is in me. And then next he says, the universe is not in me. Pashyame yogam aishwaram. Look at the power of my maya, the magical power of my maya, of my yoga. So this is the teaching of mantra number 4 and mantra number 5. Amazing use of paradoxical language, of contradiction. I remember one sadhu, Ramananda Saraswati, who told us, जब दो विपरीत बात एक साथ समझ में आवेगी महात्मा जी, अद्वैत पकड़ में आवेगा. When two contradictory things make sense, perfect sense to you, you grasp both contradictory things together. It moves and it does not move. You say, of course. Otherwise, our first reaction is, as Shankaracharya asked, Katham viruddham uchyate? Why are you speaking in riddles and contradictions? How can it be that the same thing moves and does not move? But you can say, of course, with upadhi and without upadhi. In identification with body and mind, it seems to move. See, here's the difference. In ignorance, we don't say it seems to move or I do not move. Say I move. It's straightforward. I'm talking, I'm walking, I'm just this body, I'm just this mind, I'm just this guy. That's my state in ignorance. Then, upon enlightenment, I realize I am the pure consciousness. There's no question of any movement, change, anything. I am just being itself. I am the essential nature of this entire universe. And then I go further. Body still appears. Mind still works. You are now a Jivan Mukta. Then what about this walking, talking, going on? Doesn't the Jivan Mukta walk around? Doesn't the Jivan Mukta talk? Doesn't the Jivan Mukta think? Yes, appears to, with Upadhi. That's the talk of the enlightened one. So enlightened one can say, we say, I walk and talk, that's fact for us. The enlightened one will say, in reality, I do not walk or talk or enjoy or suffer. I am the ever-present being witness, but I appear to walk and talk and enjoy and suffer. Yeah. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishnaarpanamastu. I will take up a few of the questions. Bhargavateja says, Maharaj, why do they use the language of being swifter? Is it an old analogy of a cultural context that we don't use much these days? They're using the analogy of a race. So which is faster than the other one? And then they want to, the Upanishad wants to bring out the paradox of being faster than the fastest without moving at all. Peter says, back to the first mantra. Is covering everything in God similar to worshipping everything as pure consciousness with name and form? And if so, is this for those that need to see consciousness or Brahman with name and form? Is it covering everything in God? That is the first mantra. Ishavasya sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. So worshipping everything as pure name, pure consciousness with name and form. Yes, the worshipping in the form of knowledge is to realize pure consciousness alone, Brahman alone, with name and form, is this universe of the moving and unmoving. Or the Jnani will say, I alone am the universe of the moving and unmoving. The devotee there, those who are devotionally inclined, will say, my beloved Lord is everything. Vahi Ram ghat ghat mein leta. That same Rama is in every particle of the universe, in every entity of the universe. So this movement is because, after all, see, do you not seem to move? Yes. Isn't there movement going on in a movie? Yes. And yet, actually, there's no movement going on. Similarly, in your dreams, for example, do you not actually walk around? Do you not actually, in the dreams, run to catch a train or something like that? Or you're writing or typing something. So all kinds of movements are going on, physical and mental also. And yet nothing is going on because you are sleeping, you're dreaming. Similarly, these are examples. Girish says, what is the Eka Jiva concept? Here the concept is not really Eka Jiva. It is one in all beings means there's only one Atman. The Eka Jiva concept is one approach in Advaita which is related to the Drishti Srishti Vada. The seeing itself is projection, that particular sub-school of Advaita Vedanta. But that's not what is meant here. Although you can derive it from here. Ekam, when it says, you can derive Eka Jiva from here. Shilpa ji says, basic question, you differentiated that body dies, not the mind, which is also matter. Am I wrong in understanding this? No, you're correct. Vedanta holds, basic Vedanta 101. The physical body is born, obviously, everybody knows that. You don't need to go to Vedanta for that. That's what a baby is, born. And then it ages, and the physical body dies. But the idea in Vedanta, or not just Vedanta, in fact, all schools of Hinduism, all schools of Indian thought, Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Sikhs, is that we have multiple lifetimes. So who is that we? Who is that I who has multiple lifetimes? Because the physical body is gone. It does not have multiple lifetimes. The physical body has only one life. It's born and it dies. And Atman, a pure consciousness, is neither born nor does it die. So who is it that is getting born again and again and again? It is the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. Pure consciousness alone with the subtle body. Pure consciousness reflected in the subtle body, it goes from lifetime to lifetime. The jiva, the sentient being, that's what carries impressions of past lives. The capacities, samskaras, they are carried over to the next life and so on. And I, the pure consciousness, I am not born or reborn, but in ignorance, not knowing my difference from the subtle body, I think I am dying and I am going to heaven and I am experiencing hell and I am again being reborn. And at the same time, completely losing those memories or those memories being occluded, hidden from me. And that's what's going on in this life. Bhargavateja, Maharaj, can you explain the difference between Ishvara and Hiranyagarbha? Yes, again, Vedanta 101, I strongly recommend one should study Vedanta Sara. All these things are clearly delineated and precisely defined. Each one is defined. What is Ishvara? What is Hiranyagarbha? Think about it, understand it this way. In our own experience, we have a physical body, and in this physical body, it is pervaded by a mind, our senses, our intellect. That's the subtle body. Beyond that, the blankness, the seed state of the subtle body experienced in deep sleep, that's the causal body. And the witness of these three bodies, the Sakshi, the Chaitanya, the Drashta, that is our real nature. Now, at the cosmic level, there is a physical body. All physical things put together is the body of Virat. That's what Arjuna saw in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The body of God, the physical universe, all living beings, including past and present, including the demons from hell and the gods in heaven. All of that, the tremendous, that is Virat, Vishwarupa, the cosmic form of God. But the cosmic form also has a cosmic mind that is called Hiranyagarbha. And the cosmic form also has a cosmic causal body. And beyond that is again the pure consciousness. So notice the parallels in these two, individual and cosmic. At individual level, you, the pure consciousness, with your causal body is what you experience in deep sleep. You, the pure consciousness, with the causal body and the subtle body is what you experience in dreams. You, the pure consciousness, with the causal body, subtle body, and physical body is what you experience in the waking state, right now, for example. Now imagine this at the cosmic level. Pure consciousness plus the causal body. Pure consciousness plus causal body of God is called Maya. Pure consciousness plus causal body is Ishvara, God, Bhagavan, Saguna Brahman. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, what you call Saguna Brahman, I call Kali. তোমরা যাকে সগুণ ব্রহ্ম বলো আমি তাকে কালী বলি. So Mahamaya or Kali or Durga is that Ishvara. What is it? Pure consciousness plus cosmic causal body or Maya. Pure consciousness plus cosmic causal body plus cosmic mind or cosmic subtle body. All subtle bodies together. That includes all the powers, all the devatas and everything. So that one is called Hiranyagarbha. Here we called it Matarishva. Then third, pure consciousness, cosmic causal body or Maya, cosmic mind plus cosmic physical body. Then it is called Virat. Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat. Yes. All of it beautifully described and defined in Vedanta Sara. Precise definitions are there. Sonali says, probably paradox are also used because consciousness being infinite and divisionless, it is beyond all opposites, but also includes them. So it can be used, described using any opposite like near and far, moving and non-moving, etc. Yes, that's good. The infinite is capacious. It includes all possible contradictions. How is it possible to include all contradictions? Advaita Vedanta will say it's possible to include contradictions because by itself it transcends all the contradictions. See, the contradictions are due to the presence of upadhis. How is it possible that this is orange and blue and colorless? Well, it is colorless. Because it is colorless, it can appear as orange it can appear as blue. All contradictions are possible. Every color is possible for it because it is colorless itself. It's transparent and colorless. Pure consciousness, being without any attribute, can manifest every entity and every attribute. But ultimately, they are all nisheda. They have no existence in that pure consciousness, and you are that limitless pure consciousness. Vishwanath says, Swami Chinmananda says, the paradox of language of contradiction, paradox is the language of contemplation. How else to convey or indicate in words which words cannot describe? That's one way. There are other ways also. For example, neti neti, the language of negation, language of implication, lakshana. So there are these strategies, 4 or 5 strategies used in Vedanta to say which cannot be said. That which cannot, speech cannot express, and yet you have to express. Vedanta is speech. These are all books, language. How will you express? First, you need a very powerful philosophical language like Sanskrit, which is a very profound depth, linguistically also. Then you have to employ it with tremendous skill and insight. Sometimes using language of contradiction, like we saw just now. Sometimes using language of negation, because if you cannot say what Atman is or Brahman is, at least you can say what it is not. Then implied language, which we saw in Vedantas are Lakshana, Bhagatyaga Lakshana, Jahad Lakshana, Ajahad Lakshana. We'll not go into it, technicalities. Sometimes using story, 10th man story. Many stories are used. By telling a story, a parable, it will point out something. So these are different strategies. Parul says that, so Hiranyagarbha includes Panchakosha and Saguna Brahman? Includes means it is one more layer. Hiranyagarbha and Saguna Brahman are the same. Just as you, Parul, the waker, you are also the Parul who is the dreamer. You are also Parul who is the deep sleeper. That Parul who is common to waker, dreamer, deep sleeper is pure consciousness. Pure consciousness with the causal body of Parul is the deep sleeper Parul. Pure consciousness with the causal body of Parul and the mind of Parul, personality of Parul, is the dreamer. And pure consciousness with the physical body, subtle body, and causal body of Parul, that one is the waking Parul, similarly, at the cosmic level. What is the origin of upadhis? Somebody is asking. Gaudapada would say ajata, non-origination. They never originated. It's an appearance. It's like asking, what is the origin of the snake in the rope? It never originated. That's the real answer. If that does not satisfy you, then come to Maya. Pai Maya, anirvachaniya upadhi. Neither nasat, nasat. It's not that upadhis don't exist. It's not that upadhis do exist. Anirvachaniya upadhi. Or you can come to Sankhya. Upadhis are real. They are produced by a real nature, Prakriti, and pure consciousness, Purusha. They appear in the Purusha. Or in all these ways it will work. Upadhi, ultimately there is no upadhi. It just looks like that. Ajata, Gaudapada. Upadhi also is nothing other than Brahman. In this case, the glass and the orange cloth are different. But in the case of Brahman, there is no other thing which is an upadhi. If that's too difficult to grasp, then Maya. Maya is producing neither existent nor non-existent. Non-existent because non-existent upadhi will not have any effect. Not existent also because existence belongs only to Brahman. So Maya, anirvachaniya upadhi. If that also seems weird to you, then come to Sankhya, real upadhi. In that case, the upadhi and the Maya, Prakriti will be different from consciousness. They'll be separate. Like the cloth and the glass cube. Sanket says, what is the relationship between Matarishwa and Atman? Exactly the relationship between Atman and Sanket. At the individual level, the Atman is the inner reality of the person called Sanket. At the cosmic subtle level, the Atman is the inner reality of Hiranyagarbha or Matarishwa. All right. So many other nice questions that we'll see later. Anuradha ji has raised her hand, and Swam Preet also has raised his hand. So Anuradha ji first. Can you unmute yourself and ask the question?
Pranam Maharaj.
Namaskar.
Okay. I'm taking you back a little bit. In Upanishad, 1, 2, 21, there is the paradoxical language that starts with the asino duram vrajati. There is the thing about mada madam devam. And your thing is that when we have confusion of our real nature, then we maybe not doing the madam deva. Can you
how do you
tell
translate
me
that? Madam devam?
Sorry?
How do you translate that?
Madam is like pleasure and displeasure. The both is devam, and which is me. So whenever I have confusion, so is that what you're trying to say? Like, not you, like Upanishad is saying that if you have any confusion, then something bad happens. That's also you. The underneath is you.
No, both are appearances in. So the crucial thing is asino duram vrajati. It's the exact same thing which is going on here in the Ishopanishad.
That's why it came to me.
Sitting, exactly. Sitting, it goes far. Now, how can you go far when you're sitting? It just means consciousness being consciousness, all activities appear and disappear in consciousness. Just like the screen being the screen, all sorts of movies and actions, violent action, comedy, tragedy, and everything appears and disappears on that movie screen. And the movie screen is not doing anything, not going anywhere. Similarly, but the movie screen makes the whole thing possible. Similarly, you are that one consciousness which is the same in all beings, appearing to be different, not at all involved in any action, but because of you, all actions are seeming to take place. And you are never an object of knowledge. You are not the doer, you are not the enjoyer or sufferer, and you are not even the pramata, the ever-changing knower, agent of knowledge. That is the meaning.
So this madam, it's the way it is mother or mother. That's the part I'm having problem with.
Yes, we have to look at the commentary there, but
Okay.
it means that pleasure and the lack of pleasure, you are the equal witness of both.
Okay, that's what that was I was trying to get.
What happens
So,
in samsara,
witness.
in ignorance in samsara, we don't accept this. I want a pleasant state of mind. I want a pleasant exterior life, especially a pleasant interior mind. It must be so. That's what I want. Even from spirituality, from meditation, from bhakti, I want to derive that pleasure. That's what I'm looking for. And yet, the Upanishad says you are perfectly the same one luminosity, illumining the restless mind and the serene mind, illumining the mind full of joy and mind which has which lacks joy, even the mind in sorrow. You are perfectly all right in every case.
So that's to remember when a situation comes and
yes,
I
just
forget
remember
who I am.
This, the glass cube, orange color, it looks orange, but it is not orange, but looks orange. And sometimes dark, thoughts, feelings, unhappiness, sadness, it looks blue, but it's actually not blue. Similarly, you are that one light, Madamadam. Swayampreet, can you unmute yourself?
Maharaj Pranam.
Namaskar.
Maharaj, my question is in Devi Mahatmyam, it is described that Devi herself is Buddhi Rupena Sansita, and she herself is also Bhranti Rupena Sansita.
Yes, yes.
Why is that the Bhranti is completely evident to us, but not the Buddhi, the knowledge?
No, Buddhi and Bhranti are both evident to us, isn't it? In our day-to-day life, in our worldly life also. Sometimes we have intelligence, sometimes we have understanding, sometimes we make errors. And in our spiritual life also, everything is covered in this deep ignorance of our real nature. And through Vedanta, through inquiry, the Buddhi gets the Brahmakara Vritti and we realize who we are. So all are there, and the Divine Mother is all of that. It's a very Purnam way of looking at it. Divine Mother, the Sri Sri Chandi, she is pure consciousness, plus all the upadhis and manifestations. So she is also knowledge, she is also ignorance. That's the truth. The truth is that she is beyond knowledge and ignorance. She is pure consciousness, existence, consciousness, place. But what is this knowledge and ignorance? She manifests both. She is the one who is manifesting as samsara in ignorance. She is the one who will manifest as nirvana in knowledge. But she is equally in both. That's a very beautiful way of putting it. You can see the tremendous similarities when it says she herself, buddhi rupena samsthita, namastasyai namo namaha, namastasyai namo namaha, bhranti rupena samsthita, namastasyai namo namaha. What is that? It's the same thing as Ishavasya sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Same vision, same holistic vision.